Welcome to another episode of the Quaggling Sand podcast. I'm recording this on Friday evening, September 3rd, 2021. My plan was to record these earlier on Fridays, and that is more likely to happen after I move, which will be happening pretty much continuously between whenever I stop talking and Monday evening. So today's the 3rd. I'll be out, I guess you could say, on the road on the 6th, which is Labor Day, Monday. So that should be interesting. We'll see how traffic leaving my fair city of Las Vegas treats me. But anyway, here we are. I haven't moved in 8 years. So it's been interesting. It's like, if you want to go nerdy, it's like trying to remember your 6502 assembly language mnemonics, or maybe hex math, or all the stuff that you haven't done forever. Then you're like, oh, I got to do that again. Okay. Anyway, so it's been a massive distraction, and it's essentially the core of my content for today's episode. Let us start with, well, okay, first of all, I'm probably calling this episode The Plight of the Pedestrian, something like that. Pedestrian Plight. It might be something else, but basically I was just outside, literally just outside. I'm going to be drinking some water. Cool water. I was just outside getting my healthy mileage in. I don't have time to go to the gym this week. So the streets of Las Vegas are not completely pedestrian safe, even though you find yourself in a pedestrian area. Like I said, the plight of the pedestrian is can be dodgy. So there are two main problems in residential areas, or away from what most people know of as Las Vegas, which is not actually in Las Vegas, the Strip. First of all, people really don't pay attention unless there's like an intersection, like a stoplight, a controlled intersection, or an uncontrolled intersection with stop signs or something. Maybe stop signs. So you will tend to have people not paying attention. They'll make a left or a right turn into not like a T, or not a full intersection, kind of a, residential areas, right? So they don't really pay attention, and it's your fault, pedestrian. But then on the other side of the spectrum, if you are at a crossing, like a proper intersection, crosswalk, lights, maybe even pedestrian traffic controls. If there's a light, maybe that you don't have to deal with angst so much. But if it's merely a stop sign, the same vehicles that will not pay attention elsewhere will actually become angry if, as a pedestrian, you yield to them. I do have a point, I promise. So they'll honk, they'll display a digit because you, as a pedestrian, you didn't step off the curb into the crosswalk, or no crosswalk, and cross the street when they were gesturing for you to go, maybe yelling. But if you're in a different circumstance, then you're lucky if you are able to jump out of the way in time. So the thing here is that the people driving vehicle, and don't even think about the Strip. The Strip is where people get hit by cars. They have the people bridges, so pedestrians can cross streets without being run over, and that doesn't always work. But so this is a place where people are not paying attention there are two different populations, those on foot and those on wheels. So here's the jump into my usual topics like software and tech. My hopes to have a sprint or two in the waning days, 2 weeks of my time here at I don't really have a name for where I am right now, but where I'm producing this podcast episode right now. So I was going to wrap up my my time here and then squeeze in some coding, or at least configure some cloud stuff, or just do something. But here's a quick rundown of, and the jump is the people in the car as an analog to the people on the software or vendor or company or support side, and the pedestrian, me, either actually literally a pedestrian or the person trying to interact with said support or them. So let's see where to begin. I reserved a U-Haul truck and storage, free storage with a one-way. That was pretty no-brainer. My plan is I have to spend a few weeks in Arizona, and then I'm going to be moving back here to my new place. So one way to Arizona, a few weeks, one way back. So store a bunch of stuff here. Made the reservation, I think it was August 3rd or so. So September 1st, I get a phone call. My storage reservation was overbooked, and so I have no place to store. That throws a big wrench. So luckily, U-Haul Corporate, they have a support person that was on top of things. We got that sorted. Today, everything got finalized on the 3rd for moving into that storage unit on the 5th, on Sunday. So kind of down to the wire. But this is an instance where this is a company that's in the business of moving, and I guess overbooking is fine, but to me, the entire interaction smacked of kind of disconnect. They're providing a service without understanding their customers' needs on the ground, if you will. So, kind of like the yielding to the pedestrian that's not in the crosswalk, right? Like they don't like. I always tell people, as a pedestrian walking on the streets, I can see where I don't want to step into the crosswalk, off the curb, off the sidewalk. I don't want to do that yet. So, car, please go. I will wait. But to the car, they are giving me the right of way. So go. And then flip me off and honk and peel out, screech the tires because it's my fault. So when the driver of the car is thinks that they are being magnanimous, but in fact, I know the situation that I am in because I have the visibility that you don't, for whatever reason, right? I can see to the right, around the corner, and you're turning, whatever it is, right? So I'm making a judgment call about my situation, and it doesn't align with your expectations in the car or at the U-Haul office or whatever, whoever designed their booking tools. So at the end, you're like, I didn't do anything wrong. You have to deal with me. So the U-Haul situation was luckily not so bad. Could have been worse. They did wait to the last minute. That was kind of annoying. I tried to move my electricity service. So NV Energy. They have a web tool to do this. Unfortunately, it doesn't work with Firefox. I don't know if you using Chrome or Safari or Chromium or Edge, some WebKit-based browser, Brave, the list goes on. So I've been using Firefox mostly as my go-to, my daily driver. As you may know this, if you've been around for a while, I used to work at Netscape back in the day, so always a special place for the Firefox, for the Mozilla. So I went through the process online to transfer. It's fairly simple. You just provide the shut-off date, destination, turn-on date, answer a couple questions. So it's not writing a book. It's not filling out 50 pages of forms. It's not bad, unless you just have a list of things to deal with as part of a move, right? So to the coder, this all seems rather straightforward, and it is for the most part. However, your request to move service, it's in it's in an online section of their section of their website. Start, stop, move service. Okay, so I have an account for 8 years. I want to move service to a new address. Instead of like creating a work order and saving it mid-flight in case anything goes wrong, when you reach the end of it, there's a modal, for some reason, a modal dialog in the browser. It says they want to send you a 2-factor code, and you select where they're going to send it. And I have, email. That was my only choice in this case. So send me an email. I click continue. Nothing happens. Continue. Nothing happens. Continue. Nothing happens. Cancel. Are you sure you want to cancel? I guess. So my move order is still visible. It turns out if you refresh the screen, or if you do anything, refresh the screen. If you refresh the page, if you do anything, that work order disappears. So it's in a very unstable state. And because I did not continue through the 2-factor authentication phase, I was just sort of out of luck. So I contacted the tech support, and the tech support person, Jesse, suggested I try using Explorer. And I said, not even Microsoft recommends that anymore, Jesse. So I think our discussion is done. And he wrote something else, but it doesn't really matter. Whatever he was barfing up, doesn't matter. So I said something on Twitter about how, where can I be in the 21st century with this silliness? And somebody from NV Energy tweeted back, hey, DM us with we can try to help you. They asked me via a Twitter direct message. They said, oh, we can disable the 2-factor for you, and you don't have to worry about that part and proceed. I said, okay, great. I said, that's not a fix. That's a workaround. And there's a number of problems, including Jesse. And they said, okay, so what's your social security number? And I said, via Twitter, I believe I will try something else. So here again, the people in the car are not completely aware of the people walking on the sidewalks. And it's laughable and sad at the same time. Somewhere in there, I received a second response from Southwest Airlines. Fun fact, you cannot delete your account from southwest.com. If you have signed up, if you're a Rapid Rewards member, you are theirs for the duration. Go ahead and search on their website. Unless you are not a Southwest customer, then kudos to you, my friend. Excuse me. So if you are a customer of Southwest, if you have an account on their website, in their system, and as you listen to the news, as you look at the headlines about T-Mobile storing personally identifying information for people who weren't even their customers, if you applied for an account, if you used to have an account, they retain your social security number and various other pieces of information, such that someone could go impersonate you and sign up for credit cards and whatnot. So if you hang on a second. So if you listen to the news, the T-Mobile statements are essentially, yeah, they got a bunch of social security numbers and home addresses, but they didn't take the credit card information. And you're like, well, somebody can just go open up a new credit card. Right now you got to deal with tracking accesses to your credit reports, all that stuff. I'll get to that in a second. But anyway, so I had filed a request with Southwest Airlines to close my Rapid Rewards account, delete me from their system, stop contacting me. Those were the 3 bullet items, very specific. I received a response that they closed my Rapid Rewards account. When I got the response, and it took 30 days to get that response. So from June 23rd, July 23rd, 30 days. By the way, I had called Southwest, tried chatting with them. They're like, no, you got to call customer, or you got to file a complaint. I'm sorry. You can't call customer service. You got to file a complaint or support or whatever. You got to send an email. So 30 days, close my Rapid Rewards. So I go and log into the website. I'm like, okay, they didn't do number 2. I had unsubscribed from all their promotional emails and whatnot. So I'm like, well, I guess number 3, I took care of myself. Number 2, I can still log in, so that's a problem. So I followed up and I said, okay, now I'm demanding that you close my account, delete. So 21 days later, and by the way, Southwest promises 10-day response. So 21 days later, calendar days, I received, ironically, a response and a promotional join Rapid Rewards piece of mail delivered by the U.S. Postal Service addressed to me at my home address. So much for number 3. And number 2 is still pending because they said they're going to escalate it to some other place, possibly, I don't know, some guy in a basement with a swing line stapler. So I filed a complaint with the Department of Transportation. I said they're holding user information hostage. They do not allow you to close your account in the day now where the headlines are reading T-Mobile, but they could just as easily read Southwest in another week or 2 from now. Who knows? It's ridiculous that you cannot delete your account. Anyway, so this is, it's another thing. They probably have an interest in keeping my information forever, even though I don't want them to, but who cares about the pedestrians, right? Oh, what else? A Cox cable, moving my internet service. I don't have TV or anything, but moving the internet service, that was, I said I want to transfer, 7 weeks later, and the chat that I started to ask about how to do this, she said, oh, I'm sorry, you're leaving us. And I said, that's not, you just ignored everything I just said. Why bother? I said, I'll just try it on the phone. So then I tried using their online service to do move. The place where I'm moving has they have functioning, pre-installed, pre-wired. Everything's ready to go. So that's not even an issue. But when you attempt to go through the workflow of transferring your service, for whatever reason, they don't find the address of the place in their system. So go ahead and give us a call, which means when you initiate that phone call, you must start from 0. And then it took 3 transfers to someone who finally, I think he said he was in Oklahoma, but luckily was kind of a scrappy nerd himself. And I recalled some tales of woe. I said, mostly my experiences have been pretty good. I try not to upset anything. So I really just want to move my service over with minimal upheaval. So we'll see how that actually goes when it happens. But that took a good half hour when their online, if the online tool had worked, it should have been, seconds. But 30 minutes of my time, because who cares, right? I'm just a pedestrian. So are you. Attempted to transfer my renter's insurance. I started off by saying, 1, I'm moving out on this date. 2, I'm moving into a new place on this other date. 7 weeks later, I get a response this morning. I changed the address on your policy. Let me know if you have any other questions. I said, effective now? Because I won't live there until, mid-October. I said, I changed the address effective Monday, like you said. And I said, actually, I didn't say that. It doesn't even matter if you enumerate things. So here's another failure. So my the last 2 weeks, and these are just some of the fun things. Not to mention the place where I'm moving out of. And if you have not listened before, I think I mentioned this back when it happened. I received a no cause non-renewal notice. So I had 60 days. When I actually I said, what's going on? Oh, we just want the apartment back. That's all. No reason. So that was sort of strange. I did speak to they use Entrada. It's a resident management, resident portal, maintenance, ticket filing, some messaging, which they don't really make effective use of here, and rent management. While Entrada enables you to enter a partial amount, it doesn't actually accept it, and it tells you can only pay the full amount, and they didn't calculate a partial month. So that took 2.5 days to get an itemized total for partial. And they said, oh, you can't pay through the online payment system you've been using for 6 years of the 8. So you're going to have to get a check. Well, who has a checkbook anymore? So that's just another. So luckily this was also, these are all reasonably solvable little problems, but it does require some legwork, which, as you know, pedestrians are ready to do. So, and this is only a partial list. I mean, there've been other little issues here and there. And it really, well, let's take that Social Security thing. So, now you're talking the big leagues. Social Security number was devised back in the, I've read this before. I remember the first Social Security recipient got paid in zero and got $18,000, and there was some hay made of that. But when they rolled out Social Security, you have an account number and all that, and never intended to be used for what it is now, which is as a universal ID with no security. So, you can obtain anyone's Social Security number, really, if you really want it. So it's not even a big deal anymore. But the fact is, if you lose a credit card, you can get a new number assigned the same day. And then they'll send out a card the next day, and you get it however many days later. And that's it, right? So why on earth in the 21st century are we not able to have a one-time use or a per requester account connection, right? I should be able to say, okay, T-Mobile, here's a temporary, I have you ever used privacy.com, or have you used some of the modern business financial tools, spend management platforms like Brex? I use Brex. So configuring a one-time use or a vendor only, I think on Brex they call it vendor cards, but I'm going to create a virtual credit card with the what is it, 16-digit credit card number, the CVV2 value, the expiration date, the name on the card is whatever. I will create a virtual card that can only be used by this vendor or this merchant, whatever. Right? So I don't know if you've ever had a card that you use for recurring payments get compromised somehow. That happened to me a couple of months ago, maybe a year ago now. Happened again, I should say. And if you have to deal with that, it's very appealing to be able to say, well, I'll assign one credit card, virtual credit card to, merchant A and another one to vendor B and so on. That way, if vendor B gets hacked, not a big deal. Not as big a deal. You can't do that with Social Security numbers. Why on earth can you not assign T-Mobile a 1 year access to my, or one time only, or 1 month, whatever, right? Why has the Social Security Administration not caught up with that? Well, my guess is the same people who brought you the Y2K problem have exactly a fixed size field for Social Security number digits, and they have no way of dealing with, wait, we have to change this to a UUID or some other account number with an expiration date, and we have to keep track of an expiration date and a vendor ID so that what if we have we're two different companies but in one system, and you have to track which request, and so it gets complicated, and instead of protecting us, our pedestrian safety on the sidewalks, too much trouble. So they use this, it's not even antiquated, it's just ridiculous. It was never designed. You can't say it's antiquated because it used to work and it didn't. It was never intended for this. So your universal identifier, I was going to say ID, but it's not really that, but it's an identifier. Using the last four for some sort of proof of identity is ridiculous. An unchangeable, I'm not saying anything new, you know what I'm talking about. So these are all the sorts of things that I think about. And it's part of the reason that it takes me so long, as in forever, 1/0, because it really, truly, existentially bothers me to think that people launch software that just does not work. They have these platforms in place, or they have workflows, or they have for a case in point again, I received, what was it called? They have some goofy name, I can't remember. It came from where I live now. They sent me an email that said, helping you move, or helping you to the next whatever, trying to be friendly. It's apparently separate from the residential portal. So I have a login URL. Starts off with my name filled in, and where's a number we can reach you, where's your next address. And I was like, I really don't want to give them my next address for a couple of reasons. One, it's not my next address yet. Two, the next address would be temporary, so I don't want to deal with tracking another changing address I don't need to. Third, it's none of their business. They can send mail to my address and it will be forwarded accordingly, or held, or whatever I've selected. And because you cannot skip that step, I don't know what comes next. So here, I am moving out of this place on their behest. I did not initiate this move. They did. So for all they know, I don't have a new address. I do, but so they're assuming that I do without allowing for the possibility that I do not, right? What if I'm going to stay in a hotel? What if I'm going to crash on a couch? What if I'm going to get an RV and drive around the country? I'm going to get a van and live in a van down by the river. But none of these are accounted for. So because you cannot skip that step, who knows, right? Utility goes out the window. So no one really accounts for the user. I'm not going to say no one, but this is just, I'm 30 years into my career. I don't know if you have spent as much time, but at some point, when does technology catch up to expectations? It's sort of the flying car problem, right? We've been hearing about flying cars forever, but there's no flying cars. Technology is supposed to help us, but instead it's tracking our every move. It's exposing our personally identifying information to thieves and corporate interests. And it's providing us with entertaining TikTok videos. But when it comes to actually saving time, saving money, saving lives, you are kind of left to your own devices. And yes, there are success stories for all those things. But man, oh man, it seems like every day, it's possible to encounter some piece of software or some process or workflow, or worst, an apathetic human that has no interest, or in the case of the software, has no design, no forethought, no handling of a particular case, and you are left with, this didn't work. And then you got to deal with a support person who doesn't care, and so on. So that's my rant. Yeah, it's going to be a long weekend. Luckily, it's a long weekend, so I can have a long weekend. There's still a lot of packing to do. Luckily, I've gotten out of a home I lived in 60 seconds, so you'd think I would have spent this time more wisely, but here we are. So now I will hit you up with story time. Then I'm going to ask you if you want to be a guest on the show at some point. Surely you have a story or two, either about what you're working on or what somebody should be working on. I got plenty of those too. So, by the way, I switched. another little annoying tidbit. I was publishing the show notes on Substack, and I was publishing a follow-up, random weekend edition on review, trying them out. I want to see, because Substack gets a lot of attention because of independent media has sort of adopted it. Excuse me. And super thirsty, sorry. And review, since Twitter bought them, I was like, okay, they seem to be trying to get some integration across other sources to make construction of newsletters, quote, easy. Substack kind of leaves you to your own devices. So after trying both for a while, across 3 different podcasts plus a personal newsletter, times 2, Review has an API. I wrote there's no support for it, so I wrote a Python wrapper for it, and was playing with it, found several documentation problems, functionality weirdness, but I figured, okay, well, it's version 2 of this API. Substack has no API, no plans for an API, so okay, leg up for Review. I'm gonna stick with one platform and go from there. So I contacted support about I said, hey, the documentation seems lacking. Like, how does this work? And how does this value is wrong? And didn't really get much help. So that was a frustrating dead end. Then they offer integrations with things like Instagram and RSS feeds and whatnot. So I was going to connect my not so often used Instagram account in case I want to stick in a picture, reference, link, whatever. I don't even know how it works, because guess what? The integration for Instagram doesn't work. It attempts to do the auth and returns a 400 error somewhere. Not very terse, a very terse error. It's just 400. Done. So I also contacted support about that, and they said, oh yeah, that's a known problem. So you have features, you have APIs documented incorrectly, features published on your website, offered as features, but they don't work, and they don't work. And it boggles the mind. Maybe I selected too soon. But this will be even more reason post-move. I have 6 or 7 weeks of vacation. I don't know. I'm bringing my computer. I'm actually bringing my desktop computer. It's part of the move. So I'll relocate as best I can and try to work on a few things. But that really bothered me. But then all of these things have bothered me. So I think hopefully sooner rather than later, I will just move to self-hosted, self-publishing, Mailman looks okay. I've used it before. We'll see. I've used, what have I used? As a subscriber and user of mailing listservs, I have interacted in one way or another with Majordomo, Easy MLM, which was part of or kind of connected with Qmail, Mailman, which is written in Python, which is nice. Maybe one or two other ones, but anyway. So, and I've certainly administered a postfix MTA with multiple domains, all that stuff. So, to me, rolling up the sleeves and taking back some control of these things is the only way to go, because it's very frustrating. If I could do my own insurance, renter's insurance, and provision my utility service and communications at my new location, I would do all of those things. But the things that I can do myself, I think, and for anyone, I think it behooves us to take back some of our control and agency, especially when I keep reading or hearing people rant about censorship and removing freedom of speech and whatnot. And even Amazon is going to start policing what's on their servers, which that's how business works. And freedom of speech doesn't apply to private business. So anyway, it's whatever. I don't want to go down these rabbit holes, but I was disappointed by review. So we'll get to fixing publication of newsletters and notifications, and that is all part of the mobile vendor platform and some other things that will include a newsletter / mailing list fits into some of those plans. So really, I was testing these out to see, the lay of the land. MailChimp, Constant Contact. There are more of those. Paperly. There's several. There are several platforms for commercial marketing tools, for personal newsletters, for links, and all that stuff. And honestly, I think self-publishing will be better. More work, but I think you get what you get out some of what you put in, at least. Not true when you have somebody else putting it in. So my story for story time should probably be about moving, since I'm moving. So I will tell you the story of moving to Silicon Valley. It was 1993, and I was working on campus at Harvey Mudd College. I was copying. It makes me laugh. I was copying graduation videos for Harvey Mudd after my senior year. I will tell you right now, since he is unfortunately no longer with us, rest in peace, Matt Masterson. He said, "I'll pay." He's from Scotland. I'll pay. All you have to do is put the tape in, and that's a horrible accent. I'm sorry. Put the tape in and go do something else, and then come back. Put in 5 tapes. They have 5 VCRs, copying, generation losses, all that. And he's like, "I'll pay you for full days of work for however many weeks it takes to make these hundreds of tapes." I'm like, okay. So I would put the tape in. I would go to my local Thai restaurant a lot. So at some point, I interviewed at Supermac Technologies in Sunnyvale, California. They were known to hire mudders. So while I was living in the girls' dorm, one of the girls' dorms on Scripps campus, they were all girls' dorms, summer housing. One night, got a call from Bruce, a weird interview, a phone interview, and then they flew me up. I met with several characters, got an offer, and now it was time to relocate to Silicon Valley. So, step 1, I drove up in a U-Haul with a few items, and my future roommate, a friend of mine from school, Jason. So myself and his girlfriend at the time and her friend, 3 of us, were in a U-Haul pickup truck going up with several items, in the back of the truck, going up the grapevine in the summer. So everybody was overheating. So we turned the heat on, opened the windows, and hope for the best. Went and did some apartment hunting, found a place, signed a lease. Didn't find out until after we moved in that we were actually under the glide slope for Moffett Field. So who knew? They certainly didn't tell us. So yeah, so every night, couple hours, every few minutes, planes coming in off patrol and whatnot. That was a fun time. But I'm jumping ahead. So when it came time to actually move, right, I had a start date. So I think it was July 17th, 1993. That's my recollection. I'm not looking at a calendar, but I think it was something like that. So, I mean, not too bad. Graduation was in the middle of May. Basically spent a month copying graduation videos for money, going to have Thai food in Pomona, going to the gym at LA Fitness, thanks to a membership snafu that gave me a 1-year free thing, and renting movies and crossing the fingers that I would find a job coming out of the recession, which that's a whole nother story for another time. But my career would begin at Supermac, and the move came down to, I don't really have much, but I also don't have a ton of cash because I've been copying graduation videos to pay the bills. So same character, Matt, said, oh, you know what I could do? I'll reserve the van. It's like an Astro van type thing. No, it wasn't an Astro van. But anyway, so it was a reasonably sized van. So I'll reserve the van for the weekend, and you can just drive up and just have it back on Monday. Okay. So I got my friend Tuck, my other college roommate, drove up with the van. We unpacked. I mean, everything I owned at that time fit in the back of the van. We're talking clothes, a beanbag chair, and which is long gone, like a beanbag, clothes, and maybe a computer. I think I had a computer. Yeah, I had my 2CI back then, my Macintosh 2CI. Good times. So everything I owned fit out there. We moved into the apartment. Luckily, it was a third floor. So that was most of the effort, was dealing with the elevator, fitting things into the elevator. We went and got like a couch and what else did we get? Since we had the van, right? So we did some quick turn acquisitions. And then Tuck drove the van back down, got a speeding ticket. So, sorry, Tuck. But that was it. Fairly simple. Back when things were even simpler than they should have been. So I kind of miss those times. Then over the years, I've moved with a 24-foot truck full of furniture and appliances and whatnot. Then after my fire, I had a lot less stuff to move. And now I have a lot less stuff to move, although I have a lot of stuff to throw away. Like the purge and pack. The purging part is going to take more effort this weekend to close it out. I hope I make it. I kind of looking around like, ooh, there's a lot to do. So, yet I still have time to make a podcast real quick. So that's my story. Not as exciting this time, but that was the quite literally the beginning of my career in Silicon Valley. July 1993, Supermac Technologies. Living down the street. I lived walking distance from work, which would be a theme, which still is. And good times. So come on, talk to your solo host here sometime about your own stories, your projects. You can berate me for mine. We can palaver. I was going to say blather and palaver, so one of those. And do subscribe to the newsletter. I was going to try to get some stuff up and running before the move, but too much distraction and frustration with various forces aligned against me. So my goal is to have coagulating sand. I have coagulating.com. I just don't have anything there yet. You can certainly email me at join@coagulating.com if you want to join in an episode and rap about whatever. I also have I'm on Telegram. I would like to have some sort of, kind of independent thing so we can chat and eventually get back to that sprint mode that I've been chasing. And you can sprint too. And we can bounce ideas, kind of like a mini hackathon thing. Who knows? Possibilities are endless. So I will be coming in for a landing now. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to the shows in general. Currently on Anchor, but Anchor will be the second. There's really no such thing as a secondary feed, I think. I think Adam Curry is adding something about that, or he should. There should be a way to point to multiple sources. An easy way. And I'm not sure if there is. But anyway, so anchor.fm, Coagulating Sand Podcast is hosted there presently. It will become the secondary. The primary will be coagulatingsand.com. All of my things on the to-do list. The to-do list is only getting longer. Somebody come on the show and talk to me about this so I can vent. But that is it. Thank you for listening. Wish me luck. A long weekend ahead, and it will be a long one. Take care.